Alright everybody, so in this video, I'm going to be going over every single race in DBOG and giving you a quick guide on how to build their stat build. So pretty much, I'm going to be going over every race, telling you what stats to put in. And one thing I want to give a note to is the race traits do not affect races as much as you may think. So the little traits that you see on the bottom right when you select your race or in your stats menu, that doesn't really matter as much, so following that is usually a good way to tell what you should make your build, but there are some scenarios where there's alternatives, as well as the main way to build your race, the real way to tell is your race's ability, right? So for example, if a race's ability was like 2 times key damage, but like their melee trait was like 0.1 higher than their key trait, would you really do melee? No, you would do key, because that's their race ability, which is much more effective than their stats. So that's one thing. The next thing I want to talk about is that I will guide you through the build for each race, but just know I leave plenty of room for you to make your own decisions, and I will guide you through those decisions as well. And then the last thing I want to talk about is how many stats you actually are getting throughout your playthrough of the game. So I'm going to be letting you know like where exactly to get these stat points, because a lot of people ask me how I get so many stats, so I'll let you guys know. So the total amount of stats that you can get in this game right now is roughly 4,270. That's not counting Grand Kai. Grand Kai is a quest you can do like twice a day, and it gives you 1 skill point. And then this is also not counting how many mentors are in the game, because I didn't want to count them, and it's 1 skill point per mentor, so it's pretty much like, doesn't really matter that much. So you can get way more than 4,270, but it's roughly that much for an average player, and it'll be even less for an average player, I should say, but let me go over that. So you get 3,500 from levels, you get 250 from Shenron Wishes, you get 280 from Time Chamber, you get 140 from Gravity Room, and you get 100 from the Piccolo Easter Egg. Alright, lastly, before I get into the builds, I'm gonna go ahead and say that if you guys want me to make a skill guide, so like basically what are the best moves, like what are the best moves in the game, what best skills in the game for like key, melee, best ultimates, whatever, let me know. I do want to make a video explaining how to build your moveset more so than a skill guide, because I think that's more important and it allows for more versatility than me just telling you what moves to put on. So let me know if you guys want that. And yeah, let's go ahead and get right into the video. So I'm going in order of the wiki. So first up is going to be humans. So the human build, I recommend having your health be around 1,500 to 2,500, depending on your preference. I'll explain that in a second. Agility, 300 to 600, depending on your preference. Key control, 300 to 600, depending on your preference. Physical damage is complete preference, as well as key damage being complete preference. I'll explain the preferences as well just as I go on. So, for PvP, humans can be really, really good at spamming their ultimate counters specifically, which do massive damage. That's the meta for PvP, I would say. And then just in PvE, just using ultimates in general is really powerful, especially with their 2x charge rate. One thing I did forget to mention at the start is once you hit 300 agility and 300 key control, you get a bonus ability, which allows you basically to not lose your entire key bar when you use a melee ultimate for 300 agility, and then a key ultimate for 300 key control. So basically, like, it won't take all of your key control away if you have, or all your key away if you have 300 key control in your stat when you use a key ultimate, if that makes sense. And then it's the same for agility. So, having 2x ultimate charge is very powerful. If you want to use the Mystic Flash route for key damage, or Appetizing Rush for melee damage, those are some of the best ultimates in the counter ultimates in the game, and they are just very strong. Mystic Flash for key, melee damage is Appetizing Rush, and then it really just depends on what kind of super attacks you want to equip. So basically, like, if you're a melee guy, just go melee. If you're a key guy, go key. And then as for key control and agility, I would say if you're a melee guy, don't go more than 300 key control. And if you're a key guy, even more than 300 agility is fine, because agility is used for sling, it's used for using counters, It's like super attack counters. It's for using rush knockbacks, which I recommend key users to have at least one on your moveset, as well as one counter on your moveset, which takes stamina, of course. As well as you are slinging in PvP, and that takes agility as well. So I definitely recommend you having at least 300 agility and key control in almost every race. I will specify. However, you know, there are cases, right? It just depends. Alright, so back to human though. So you could go the maximum damage build to abuse your damage stat in PvE, which is what I do on my human. I have 300 agility and the rest into physical damage. I have no health, no ki, no nothing. I just spam nuclear kick on bosses to kill them very quickly. I don't recommend this because I'm not maining human. I like my human and I'm going to use him, and using him in the story is going to be really fun because I just one-shot everything. So yeah, like, that's very fun for me. So that's a PvE build I could recommend, but not if you're only a human. Like, if you're just starting the game, you want to choose human, I would go more balanced than that, but that's just me personally. Alright, so the next race we're going to talk about is Saiyans. So Saiyans are very controversial race here in DBOG, or DGen, the GOAT game. So Saiyans, I recommend your health be well over 2,000, at least 2,000. Agility, 300 plus, depending on your preference. Key control, 300. Physical damage, yes. Yes, all the physical damage. Key damage, I recommend 0. So full-blooded Saiyans are without a doubt a melee race. Use your level to enjoy key damage, as well as time chamber benefit stats, gravity room stats, stuff like that. Just use that to enjoy your key damage. But the stat update, by the way, is really good for this reason. You can still get away with using key moves with no key damage, and vice versa with melee. It's a very good reason why they implemented that stat update, making the level matter more than the stats themselves. The race ability for Saiyans is only viable as a melee build, so please don't do a key damage Saiyan. If you want to be a key damage Saiyan, choose hybrid. You can get away with doing a key damage Saiyan in PvE, but for PvP, like, no, don't do it. You need at least 2,000 HP. I'm serious. 1,000 HP isn't cutting it anymore. We're not level 400. We're level 700, and it's only going to get higher. You need at least 2,000 HP to be considered a well-built Saiyan. Having more HP means you can last in red HP for the longest amount of time. This race isn't considered good. It's because of that red HP condition. So making it so you can be in red HP as long as you possibly can is best. This is true for PvP and PvE. Namekian builds are next. Namekian, I very much guarantee that you're going to need at least 2,000 health. I recommend 2,500 maybe, but at least 2,000. 300 plus agility, depending on your preference. 300 plus key control, depending on your preference. By the way, when I say plus, it means I recommend at least 300. You can have more if you want. Physical damage, I would say 0, but you can have up to 1,000, depending on your preference. And then key damage as much as possible. And then when I say as much as possible, I say do everything else and then the rest in the key damage. Namekian's ability allows them to heal a percentage of their HP. So naturally, the more HP you have, the more you heal. As for the rest of your stats, it's definitely highly recommended you go with a key build, as their stat traits go well with key control and key damage, as well as their ability favoring key playstyles. However, having some agility and physical damage to allow you to sling better isn't a horrible idea for Namekian, but it's not recommended. This is true for PvP and PvE. Next up is Frost Demon. For Frost Demons, you're going to want at least 1,500 health. Agility at least 300, depending on your preference. Key control at least 600, depending on your preference. No melee damage, and as much key damage as possible. Frost Demon's ability allows them to charge their yellow bar of ki for super attacks twice as fast as any other race, and it's extremely overpowered. There's a reason I have this race in Z tier in my PvP tier list. Paired with their insane ki damage stat, they're a broken race. Melee is not an option. You must do an all ki damage build. Agility depends on how much stamina you want to have for sling, counters, and knockback rushes, which again I recommend all those, even for key damage players. Key control is completely up to you. I recommend to have at least 600. But you can have, you know, at least 300 if that's how you want to roll. Or you can have like 900, 1200 if that's how you want to roll. Like I can see all of it. It just depends how much damage and health you want, really. This is true for PvP and PvE. Alright, next up is androids. Health, 1500 plus. Agility, 300 plus depending on preference. Key control, 900 plus. Physical damage, 0. And then key damage, all of it. The rest that you can, put it in the key damage. Androids are very similar to Frost Demons. Their ability allows them to auto key regen. This makes them extremely overpowered if played correctly. Agility is your preference on how much you want for sling, counters, knockbacks, etc. Which, like I said, I recommend for key builds to have a knockback, a counter or two, and then having enough agility to sling. On every single race, I recommend 300 agility, by the way. That's just a spoiler. At least 300. If it's a melee race, maybe you can do more. Key race. Even if it's a key race, maybe you can do more if you want more for sling. Having over 900 key control is my personal recommendation. Or at least 900 or more. Like, 900 is good. You can get away with 900 easily. That's more than enough. But I like having even more than that. The rest into key damage is a necessity. And, this race will be broken if you have enough key control, key damage. And you may notice, for key races, I recommend at least 1500 health. For a melee race, I recommend at least 2000. And if the race is like a health-oriented build, 2500. 2k to 2500 is what you're going to see, just like this next race. Bio Android is next. So 2500 plus health for Bio Android. I'm serious, by the way. Agility, 300 to 600 plus, depending on your preference. Key control, 300 plus. Physical damage, 0. Key damage as much as possible. Bio androids are a cheese race. If you want to play this race, prepare to cheese. And if you want to cheese, prepare to play this race. Their passive allows them to heal a small percentage of their HP every second you charge. Prioritizing knockback key skills, counters, and rushes is a necessity. Having as much HP as possible is huge for Bio androids. As for PvP, it doesn't matter how much health your opponent has, as long as you can charge to heal up to having more than them. This means that no matter how much damage you're doing, as long as they can't heal, it's more than enough damage, because as long as you have more health, after that 5-minute timer is up and ranked, you will win. As much damage as possible is good, but again, having even more health is even better. This is true for PvP and PvE, although if you're strictly PvE only, if you do not like PvP, you don't really need that much health because you can regen. You can lower the health a little bit for some melee or key damage, really up to you, but only for PvE. For PvP, health, absolutely. Alright, speaking of health, we have another health race, Majin. So Majin, I recommend you have 2000 to 2500 2500 plus health. Agility, 300 to 600 depending on your preference. 300 to 600 plus depending on your preference. No melee damage, and then as much key damage as you possibly can. Majins are very tricky. This is the closest DBOG has to a meme race. They can win PvP fights based solely on if you can get your regeneration skill off, although it's very hard to land in ranked, and it's next to impossible if you're facing a good player. Majin is likely the worst PvP race in the game, even worse than Saiyans. And for PvE, they're extremely versatile thanks to the absorption ability, which is disabled in ranked. You can basically make your stats whatever you want and just absorb whoever you want to get whatever stat build you want. In PvP, if you truly want to play as a Majin, go for a health build and try to land regeneration. Good luck, God bless you, may God be with you. A key damage build is recommended for Majin. Don't go melee, go key. And then as for PvE, Majin is a complete wild card, man. Just do as you please. Just do as you please. Just try not to be too toxic when absorbing someone. You know, if you're going to absorb someone without their permission, at least don't jump them. And if you're going to absorb someone, try and ask for their permission. The next race is the Demon race. Health, I recommend This is the only melee race I will recommend at least 1500 only. But again, as much health you can as possible. Health is extremely underrated. It's the key to success in this game, in PvP. Agility, 600 plus. Key control, 300. Physical damage, as much as you can. As much as you can. And then key damage, 0. For demons, melee is a necessity. They are one of the few amazing glass cannon races. With their powerful M1 damage, assuming you have a melee weapon equipped, they can out-damage any melee race's M1s. Going high agility so you can make use of your damage with high damaging skills is a great idea, though keep in mind you can use lower level moves to still get good damage for less agility. Demons are pretty much as close as you can get to a glass cannon race in this game. Going all melee damage is a good strategy. Again, health, good strategy. And this is all accurate for PvP and PvE. Alright, next we have Bojack. Now, people are still confused about Bojack. Some people still believe to this day that their race ability gives them damage reduction when they're in red, which is just not true, and it hasn't been true for multiple years now. Health, I still recommend you go 2500 plus health. Bojack, I mean, you might as well be a tanky boy. 300 plus agility. That depends on your preference, though. Maybe if you want to just stay at 300, that's up to you. Key control, 0 to 300. Physical damage as much as possible, and key damage 0. Bojack's race, once again, has a red health ability. This means you must invest as much as you can into HP. This time, you get to use physical rush skills with no stamina consumption at red HP, making Bojack's very dangerous. Equipping the highest damaging moves and being very careful while not in red HP with your moves is key to success as a Bojack. Have as much agility as you want, though keep in mind you're only going to need it for vanishes and flight once you reach red, which to be fair is going to be less than 80% of the fight. A Bojack strategy should include trying to chip away at your opponent as much as you can until you reach red health, then unleashing a dominating assault on them with insanely high damage. In PvP, I recommend you save your stamina break for when you're in red HP, as to ensure that you will get the kill. Keeping them at low defense is a great strategy. Just not even stamina breaking them, but keeping the pressure on, keeping them at low defense is a great strategy. And then the stat build is true for PvP and PvE. Alright, it's time for the Kai build. So, health, 1500 plus. Agility, 300. Key control, 300 plus. No melee damage. Very important that you do no melee damage on Kai. And then key damage as much as possible. Kais are just like demons, except they require energy weapons to deal damage. However, instead of the 1.25 boost that demons get, Kais get 1.3, and it scales off of their key damage. This makes Kai an extremely fun race to use, as you get to use M1 combos and Sling as a key damage race, and you do it more effectively than any melee race. A glass cannon build works for Kais, though having as much health as you can spare is a good idea. Key control is completely up to you, as once you reach 300, you really don't need any more, although if you're going to be using Space Saga and up moves, it's recommended that you have maybe around 5, 6, 700 key control, depending on your preference. And this is all true for both PvP and PvE. Alright, we're in the final countdown now. I'm going to go ahead and recommend for Tuffle builds, you have 2000 plus HP, agility, 600 plus, key control, 0 to 300, physical damage as much as possible, no key damage. Tuffle race ability is extremely powerful. Stealing enemy stamina on critical hit is a powerful ability, allowing you to use powerful melee moves frequently and keeping your opponent feeling like your prisoner. Because again, you are stealing their stamina and giving it to you. I like to have good health as a Tuffle to ensure that you don't get slaughtered before you can steal the enemy stamina and imprison them. Having a good base agility stat is good, so you can use moves that deal many hits at once, allowing for the highest critical hit chances and equaling more stamina for you. Physical damage is a necessity for this race because key moves cannot critical hit. This is true for PvP only because unfortunately as of right now, Tuffle's ability does not work in PvE, rendering them completely useless. The next race we are going to be talking about is the Yardatian build. So, Yardrats are very interesting as we are actually going against what their traits should tell you to do. Health, 2000 plus. Agility, 600 plus. Key control, 0 to 300, depending on if you think you're going to be using key ultimates. Physical damage, as much as possible. Key damage, 0. Don't let Yardrat's race traits fool you. This is 100% a melee race. Gaining key quickly, as well as ultimate key, when hitting your opponent is a powerful ability that Yardrats can use to spam their ultimate attacks. This is great for using Appetizing Rush or other strong melee ultimate moves. Having good agility to help you with sling, counters, and rush skills is a great idea, and this is all true for both PvP and PvE. Last, but certainly not least, except for maybe in the hype department, we have Kanassan. Health, 2000 plus. Agility, 300 to 1000 plus, depending on your preference. Key control, 0 to 300. Physical damage as much as possible. Key damage, 0. Kanassans have an amazing race ability, giving them 2 times stamina regeneration. This leaves you with 2 choices. Giving yourself the bare minimum agility stat, which is 300, and relying on it to regenerate for you, so you can put those extra points into health or damage, or abusing the 2 times regeneration by increasing your agility to a high number, such as 800 or 1000 or maybe even more, so you can abuse your ability even more. The choice is yours. But being a melee race, just like the rest of the melee races, it's good to have a good amount of health. And this is true for PvE and PvP. That's about it for this video. I've went over every race and my recommended builds. Now again, this is my opinion, but I feel like for a lot of this, you can't really have an opinion on it. It's pretty self-explanatory, you could say. Let me know what you guys think. I'm very confident in this video. I think this is a good guide for beginners as well as intermediate players who don't know quite what build to do for certain races. Let me know what race is you guys' favorite. Let me know what your builds are and if you will be changing them after this video. Now, if you want to change them, you can either use Robux to reset them, or you can summon the Earth Dragon Balls. I have an Earth Dragon Ball guide on my channel if you want to go check that out. You can use that to, number 1, wish for more stat points, up to 5 times. And then number 2, reset your stats. So maybe if you think that your build isn't as efficient as you thought it was, or you messed up somewhere, you can reset it. And then one more thing, one quick tip for those of you that stayed near the end. If you do max out your time chamber and you get some gravity room done, you actually have enough agility and key control from that alone to not even have to put skill points into the damn stats to begin with. So you can put even more stats into health and damage. So I definitely recommend doing that for your strongest slots, the slots that you care about the most. Let me know what you guys think. You guys have a wonderful day.